know what? When you and I take up this call and we talk about abortion, if we speak about it in church, we're told we're too political. If we speak about it in the political arena, we're told we're too religious. If we speak about it in the world of the media, it's too disturbing. In the world of business, it's too distracting. In the world of education, it's too controversial. In the streets, it's too disruptive. So abortion, if abortion is wrong, where do we go to say so? We go into the churches, we go into politics, into the media, into business, into education, and into the streets. Some churches haven't wanted to get involved in political hassles with the government, so they've been silent on abortion. They didn't want to get involved in hassles from the government. They didn't want to take the fight to the government. So now with the HHS mandate, the government took the fight to them. And when it comes to that mandate, we've got a simple message. We will obey God rather than men. As Alveda can tell us, her uncle said one day to the civil rights movement, we've got a lot of obstacles in our way, but we're not going to let anything turn us around. We're not going to let no dogs turn us around, no water hoses turn us around, no police clubs or jail sentences, and we're not going to let any injunctions turn us around. And so today I say to you, in the pro-life movement, no Planned Parenthood is going to turn us around. No biased media is going to turn us around. No HHS mandate is going to turn us around. No Obama administration is going to turn us around. We are marching for a certainty. And it's not only the certainty that we will arrive at the day of victory for the unborn, it is a certainty that the power which now dismembers them and crushes them and throws them in the garbage is a power which at its root has already been defeated.
Well, I'll tell you, Father Frank, it's amazing that we're actually sharing the stage with you. Jason and I were kids. We met you in 1988.
Yes.
You look the exact same. He's got the same hair, the same glasses, and the same outfit. In 1991, that was the height of abortion. It was 2,197 freestanding abortion clinics in America. Today, thanks to the work of Priests for Life and other organizations and Christians and Catholics joining hands and uniting for life, there are less than 600 freestanding abortion clinics in America.
Well, good evening, friends. Happy Friday. Father Frank Pavone here, National Director of Priests for Life. Glad you could join us for a little while. I appreciate your tuning in. We're going to talk about some good news, two good news items that I have for you tonight. And before we do that, let me take my book here, which I hope you also have, Pro-Life Reflections for Every Day, and let's pray. Today we take a quote from the Compendium of the Social Doctrine of the Church. It's a book that talks about Catholic social teaching, official document published by the Church, by the Vatican. And in there it says this, among other things: the human person is the measure of the dignity of work. Reflection: the Church teaches that work has its final goal in the human person. In other words, people are not to be considered just as cogs in a wheel of productivity. Work exists for people. It is an expression of the person and builds up his or her dignity. This is a key conviction in a culture of life. Let us pray. Lord, thank you for the contributions workers have made to the strength, prosperity, and well-being of our country. Amen. Well, it just so happens that that was the reflection assigned for today, and it ties in directly to this good news, first piece of good news that I want to give you. Let's show a website here from the Council of Economic Advisory Council of the White House. The August jobs report is out. And the economy, in an historic way, continues to rebound as unemployment rate drops. Let's read the first couple of paragraphs of this. In August, America added nearly 1.4 million new jobs, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics monthly employment situation report, in line with the consensus forecast. The unemployment rate fell by 1.8 percentage points to 8.4%. This is the second largest decline on record. The August jobs report confirms that the strong recovery continues. Just a few months ago, America had an unemployment rate of 3.5%, the lowest rate in 50 years, before jumping to a peak of 14.7% in April due to the devastation wrought by COVID-19. But between April and August, the unemployment rate fell by 6.3 percentage points to 8.4%. Now, for perspective, following the Great Recession of 2008-09, it took nearly a decade for the unemployment rate to fall by 6.3 percentage points. Nearly a decade for President Trump's economy accomplished this in just 4 months. Let's go down to the last two paragraphs. Go all the way down. This keep going. Just a few months ago, America faced an economic shock unlike any other. But in the face of adversity, Americans yet again showed that they will never settle for anything less than great. In July, the unemployment rate was 10.2%, 0.2 percentage points higher than the peak unemployment rate during the Great Recession in October 2009. It took over 2 years at that time to achieve an unemployment rate of 8.4%, something Americans have now achieved in 1 month. With nearly half of the job losses from March and April now recovered, this report shows that the economic comeback is underway and going strong. So friends, that is important for us to know. It's important for us to be able to articulate. As we have said before, and as we said right in the midst of the pandemic, we said this is not an economic problem. This is a medical problem. It's a medical emergency. It's not a weak economy. It's an economy that had to be temporarily shut down to protect lives and to protect us from this virus. And because President Trump had brought our economy to the strongest level it has ever been, and as the strongest economy in the whole world, we told you, and he told you, that once we start opening things up again in a safe way, that rebound would be very, very strong and swift. Because he laid the groundwork. It was the strongest economy ever. And so it stands to reason if we had to close it for deliberately for a medical reason, well, it's not that's not an economic issue. It's a medical emergency. Now the recovery is going very, very strong. So in these last few months, over 10 million jobs added, recovered, and this is extremely significant. We continue on a very, very strong upturn for the economy. And this is a moral issue as well. You know, we, in our ministry, our issue is abortion. We're talking about pro-life, and I'm going to say something in a moment about the president's pro-life accomplishments. But all of these arenas have a moral dimension. And in all of these arenas, the president has the country going in the right direction. We've got to share these points. Make sure, brothers and sisters, that nobody in your circle of influence is unaware of this particular, and you can go, whitehouse.gov is the website where I got that from. Go to whitehouse.gov. In fact, go there regularly. And going there regularly will help you to get straight from the source this good news as it develops each day, really. And you'll see other things that are happening as a result of the president's initiatives. You'll see the speeches there that he gives. You'll see facts and figures. And this will help you, of course, in talking with your friends and neighbors in continuing to prepare for this election. Now, brothers and sisters, the second thing I want to show you is a letter that President Trump sent to us. Me, you, all pro-life leaders and activists. You'll see it was dated yesterday, and it is addressed to us. Dear pro-life leaders and activists. This is under the letterhead of the Pro-Life Voices for Trump, which I hope you are a part of. You can join it by texting LIFE, the word LIFE, to 88022. The word LIFE to 88022. But let's read the letter, or part of it anyway. The president reminds us, in 2016, I ran as a pro-life candidate for president. And with your support, we won the White House. Since my inauguration, I have proudly governed as the most pro-life president in our nation's history. Together, we have accomplished so much for unborn children and their mothers during my first term in office and then he lists several key areas of pro-life progress. Transforming the federal judiciary with the confirmations of Justices Neil Gorsuch and Brett Kavanaugh to the U.S. Supreme Court, and over 200 lower court judges. That number is approximately 230 now. Second, fighting for the unborn around the globe by enacting the Protecting Life in Global Health Assistance policy, which prevents tax dollars from funding the international abortion industry, and combating efforts at the United Nations to make abortion an international right. The Protecting Life in Global Health Assistance policy, by the way, is what has been known as the Mexico City policy, initiated under President Ronald Reagan. Every pro-abortion president since then has gotten rid of it. President Trump put it back, but also expanded it to cover $8.8 billion of government money, protecting that from the abortion industry across all of government instead of just in certain areas of government. That keeps tax money from going to organizations that perform or promote abortion overseas. Under the Obama-Biden administration, if a country wanted our help, together with that international aid, we would be pressuring them to change their laws on abortion. ridiculous. It's like going in there, oh, we'll help you with your, feed your people and educate your children as long as you also start killing your children by abortion. It's absolutely absurd. So President Trump has put an end to that nonsense. Third thing, stopping taxpayer funding of the big abortion industry, such as Planned Parenthood, through the Title X Protect Life rule. Remember, there are many different funding streams to Planned Parenthood and the abortion industry. Some of them are under the authority of the president to stop, and he has done so. Title X being one example. Others require the action of Congress, and with Democrats controlling the House, they're not going to defund one penny to the abortion industry. But at least we have a Republican Senate and, of course, the president to stop them from actually making those changes. But in the meantime, things that are under the president's authority he's been doing, and through the Title X rule, the Planned Parenthood had to drop out of that funding program and lose $60 million per year. Fighting for the conscience rights of the Little Sisters of the Poor and medical professionals, such as nurses, from being forced to participate in abortions. The president has been very strong on, and this covers a number of different specific actions he has taken, very strong on protecting conscience. The Little Sisters, of course, get a lot of attention. The rule that the president changed affects practically every employer in America, and including Priests for Life. We had to go all the way up to the Supreme Court with a case against that Obama-Biden mandate that was trying to force us to provide certain forms of abortion in our health insurance plans that we offer our employees. Then the president says, ending taxpayer funding for new medical research using aborted baby parts at the National Institutes of Health. He did that as well. There were recently 14 research projects being knocking at the door of the government, and the president's administration refused 13 of them. Refused to fund 13 out of the 14 research projects because they wanted to use tissue from aborted babies. He said, no, not going to do that. We're not going to use our money to do that. Becoming the first president ever to address the March for Life in person, and the Susan B. Anthony List Campaign for Life Gala in person. I was at both of those events where the president spoke, and my goodness, what a wonderful inspiration. Then he goes on to say, as I seek re-election this November, I need your help in contrasting my bold pro-life leadership with Joe Biden's abortion extremism. Now, Biden's abortion extremism, my friends, is the extremism of the entire party, the entire Democrat Party. Okay, it's not only his own position, it's of the entire party. The Democrat Party unequivocally supports abortion on demand, up until the moment of birth, and even infanticide, leaving babies to die after failed abortions. Joe Biden's embrace of this extreme position is most evidenced by his support for taxpayer funding of abortion on demand. Forcing taxpayers to pay for abortions is an abhorrent position that must be defeated at the ballot box. Joe Biden has doubled down on these positions with his selection of abortion extremist Kamala Harris as his running mate. She is an abortion extremist, brothers and sisters. With your help, I will win re-election, ensuring we have another 4 years to fight in the trenches for the unborn children and their mothers. And then he mentions things that he's ready to do. 3 things. You'll notice the third one there, fully defund the big abortion industry such as Planned Parenthood of our tax dollars. Right above that, overcome Democratic filibusters in Congress to finally pass and sign into law the Pain-Capable Unborn Child Protection Act. That's the bill that would protect babies from 20 weeks forward. That cuts in half the time during pregnancy during which an abortion is allowed. And that would do it on the motive that by 20 weeks, scientific consensus is these babies feel pain as their arms and legs are ripped off of them while they're still alive. The No Taxpayer Funding for Abortion Act. Okay, what this does, and our friend Chris Smith in the Congress has introduced this over various sessions of Congress. You know, Congress has to approve every year various different funding bills, appropriations bills as they're called, and each time they have to vote to keep abortion funding out of those particular provisions. This bill, no taxpayer funding for abortion, would cut clear across all of those appropriations bills, cut clear across the government, and in one law say just no, our money doesn't go for killing babies. And this would make it permanent law so that they don't have to keep voting every year on multiple fronts, multiple battles to keep our money out of the hands of the abortionists. And the Born Alive Abortion Survivors Protection Act, that again deals with the issue that there are babies that sometimes survive abortions. And the fact of the matter is, the Democrats say, oh, well, infanticide is already illegal. Well, that's partially true. The fact of the matter is that there's big gaps in the protections offered these children, and these children are left to die in the abortion facilities or deliberately smothered because they figure, oh, well, they were slated for abortion anyway. That's not any justification to kill a born child, just as there's no justification to kill the unborn either. But if you're talking about a born child, you're not talking about abortion anymore. You're talking about literally infanticide. The first thing he mentions there, continue our transformation of the federal judiciary, filling the Supreme Court and lower courts with judges who will respect the Constitution and not legislate an abortion agenda from the bench. Okay, we can go off that screen. You can find this letter, friends, at priestsforlife.org, our main website, and you can find it at where you can also reach our website, by the way, is endabortion.us. Endabortion.us is the same, goes to the same place. You notice one thing from this letter is addressed to all of us that I want to emphasize here. And then I'll be happy to, I see your comments come in, I'll be happy to answer your questions. But there's one very clear thing that this letter tells us. We have someone sitting in the White House who is working with us to bring an end to abortion. It is a long and complex process, but he's committed to it. He's speaking out about it. He's taking action. Some people say, oh, well, does he really mean it, and being pro-life? Well, by their fruits you will know them. You judge a person by his actions, right? This is what he has done. He's accomplished it. So people don't have to talk about or wonder about whether he's sincere. Just look at what he's actually done. It speaks for itself. So we have someone in the White House willing to do everything that he is empowered by the Constitution to do. But we need to give him a Congress. Now think of this, it's very simple and it's very clear. He doesn't have unilaterally the authority to change the law on abortion or to change the law on the defunding of Planned Parenthood. Some people say, oh, well, just defund it by executive order. Wait a minute. A lot of the funding, the bulk of the funding of Planned Parenthood is governed by law. Congress changes the law. The president can't just change the law and defund Planned Parenthood. Like I said, he can do certain things in terms of the funding of Planned Parenthood, like he did with Title X. That was under his authority to say, look, we're going to enforce this law that was already in place. Enforce it, clarify it, strengthen it. But the bulk of the funding of Planned Parenthood, he's sitting there saying, we're ready to fully defund it. I've got my pen ready to sign the bill that will defund this. But what he's saying in this letter is, I need a Congress that's going to send me the bill. And that comes back to you and me voting for representatives in the U.S. House who are pro-life. Right now, the U.S. House is under the control of the abortion party, the Democrats, the abortion advocates. We need to put it under the control of pro-life representatives, Republican pro-life representatives. Look at your House races for U.S. House. Who is asking for your vote to represent you in the United States Congress? If they're a Republican, they're going to fight for the unborn. This is just the way it is. I'm just describing a fact here. If they're Republican, they're going to fight to defend the unborn. If they're a Democrat, they're going to fight to kill the unborn. This is literally the case. This is literally the case. Challenge them and tell your fellow voters in your district what is going on here. And then, because the whole House of Representatives is up for re-election, every 2 years, the entire House of Representatives is up for re-election. And the Senate, the U.S. Senate, 1/3 of them are up for re-election. So a lot of you have important Senate races. Those of you in Colorado, Alabama, Minnesota, Michigan, North Carolina, Georgia. In Georgia, you've got 2. Both of your U.S. Senate seats are on the ballot this election. Montana, I know Senator Daines there. He heads up the pro-life caucus in the United States Senate. So you've got many others. You've got a lot of key Senate races going on. We have got to increase the number of pro-life senators, which again, in practical terms, translates into Republican senators. Why? A, to pass the kind of legislation the president is saying in that letter that he supports. Again, he has a pen ready to sign, but he's not a dictator. We've got 3 branches of government. People need to stop saying, oh, well, you could just, do this executive order and that executive order. Yeah, well, first of all, an executive order, there's only certain things he can do by executive order. And secondly, next president can easily reverse an executive order. The fact of the matter is there's got to be a law passed, and the existing laws have to be changed. So we need to give him a Congress. We need to give him a Congress. So strong pro-life senators, strong pro-life members of the U.S. House of Representatives. We could have gotten so much more done these past 2 years if we hadn't made, as a country, a big mistake in the midterm elections of 2018 by giving control over to Nancy Pelosi and the pro-abortion Democrats. Let's put Christie's. I'm going to answer some of these questions now, but let's change that back again. This election, and I'm not even going to say election day. It's November 3rd. It's less than 2 months away now. It's election season. Today was the first day that the first state sent out the absentee ballots or began the process, and that is North Carolina. A key state, key Senate race there, and key for the presidential campaign. And the voting begins. It's a voting season now. It's 2 months of voting. And by the way, what the president was saying yesterday about this is that, make sure that your vote gets properly counted. Make sure that it gets counted. We all can vote only once. But, if you're not sure, if you don't get, first of all, get there in person if you can. If you can't, vote early by absentee ballot. But then once you've sent in you request your ballot and then you send it back in. But don't just stop there. Make sure you can confirm that it got received and tabulated. And if it hasn't gotten received and tabulated, if you can't get that definite confirmation and you are able to show up in person to vote, then go in person. Now, if they've received it and tabulated it, you won't be able to vote a second time. We're not encouraging you to vote a second time, and neither is the president. We're encouraging you to verify that your vote got counted. And you can go and you can do a provisional ballot. In other words, okay, I'm here in person now. You should have received my ballot. But in case you didn't, and if I don't have the clear verification from you that you did, I'm going to cast my ballot in person. And then they count it if and only if your original absentee ballot wasn't counted. So nobody's advocating cheating the system. We're just trying to make sure the system is going to be accurate. Okay, so let me see some of these comments here. Walter is asking, Father, first of all, Cheryl, I like that comment. I'll be voting in person, even if there's 5 feet of snow in Massachusetts. Good for you. We have to do what we have to do here. I mean, this is war. Everything is at stake for our country, for our church, for our pro-life movement. Walter, Father, would it be a correct statement that Biden is excommunicated? If not, what can we say? That's a matter of church law. Church theologians canon lawyers will argue about that. Let them argue about the technical legal aspects. What we can say is what he is doing is not only out of line with church teaching, it's out of line with the very meaning of public service. We need public servants who know the difference between serving the public and killing the public. Why would we as Catholics believe that we should have people like this in office? He's not only contradicting the Catholic faith, he's contradicting basic human decency. I think we have to keep pointing out the fundamental inhumanity of abortion, the inhumanity of it. And if people can't, this is what makes me laugh about some of these priests, like Christy is asking about Father James Martin. What the heck is wrong with these guys? What in the world is wrong with them? We hear about some of these other priests, and this Sister Simone, boy, does she have to go to confession. Sister, your mind has gotten demented. This woman, supporting the Democrats and whatnot. I've met her, and these people, like the president says about these radical left-wing Democrats, we've also got these radical people in the church who are doing grave disservice to the church. Like the president says, these people are nuts. These people are nuts. It's really sad. They're dead wrong, and they're nuts. Because what they're doing is, here we are in the middle of a Holocaust, right? We're in the middle of a Holocaust. And they're going to start quibbling about theology and canon law. They're going to start quibbling. They'll try to defend what Biden is doing and what the Democrats are doing, killing these babies. They try to defend it by these crazy theological nuances. Oh, but look, Pope Francis says, that all these lives are equally sacred. Excuse me, but with all due respect to the Pope, we don't need the Pope telling us that all the lives are equally sacred. We know that already. The fact of the matter is that not all lives are equally protected. Why in the world did they not see this? Who are the most unprotected human beings? The ones that also happen to be the most defenseless. The children in the womb. Every life is equally sacred, they say, as if there's some kind of magical justification for voting for the Democrats. Well, you know what? The lives of the more than 10 million people who just got their jobs back again, thanks to President Trump's economic restoration, which is now in full swing, they're equally sacred too. And the president is helping them. Who's also equally sacred? The people that President Trump has protected from human trafficking, doubling the amount of federal convictions for that particular crime, that particular sin. The president's protecting them. The president has strengthened protection in our public schools from sexual assault of children in grades K through 12. He has strengthened the protections for those children. Do you hear about that? Oh no, but these Democrats and this Sister Simone Campbell, she's got to go to confession. She's got to go back to catechesis too, because she said she didn't know about abortion. She didn't know, what to say about that. Above my pay grade, she said, invoking Obama, another one of her favorites. These people are sick. They're just sick, so. The argument about excommunication is that, the church law says if you actually participate in an abortion, you're excommunicated. Well, Biden is making it possible, and he would make it even more possible for more abortions to happen if he were president. Again, no exceptions, no restrictions whatsoever. Why contact his local campaign office and ask them, does Mr. Biden support a single restriction on abortion under any circumstance? And let me know if they identify any of them, because he doesn't have one. He doesn't advocate for one. Unbelievable. So Father Martin, like Christy is saying about this, Father Martin, Father Martin, I would suggest stop hearing confessions and maybe go to confession a little bit more. His comments were geared towards the approval from the church to vote for Biden. The church has given no approval to vote for Biden. It's not a sin. Well, why in the world is he even talking like that? It's not a sin. He's saying, oh, well, people are saying it's a sin to vote for Biden. Listen, you want to go onto the theological lecture circuit? Be my guest. Go right ahead. You're all dressed up in the little collar there. Maybe you want to put on a few other robes. Take out your Bible, take out your catechism, and so go ahead and start talking theologically and so forth. You're going to look like an idiot. Because we're talking about tearing the arms and legs off of a baby. Why on earth do we need any kind of theological lesson from Father Martin, Pope Francis, or anybody else to tell us this is wrong? Then can we get, Zach is here in the studio with me, that diagram there, that's against the wall. I want to show you this again. I mean, you've seen this before, but this is my answer, brothers and sisters, to these theological, these arrogant, disconnected, clueless people. Here's my answer right here. You do your theology lessons. Go right ahead. I have 3 degrees in theology myself. I know something about it. But you know what? That's not what this is about. And then let me bring this closer here to the camera. This is what it's about right here. Right here. Father Martin, go ahead. Did you look at this? Maybe you want to, stop your video and hit the print button and put this on your desk, with all your theological books about what's a sin and what's not a sin. And Sister Simone, is this above your pay grade? You stupid idiots. Look at this. I mean, really, brothers and sisters, do they take us to be idiots? That we need them to tell us whether or not it's a sin to allow this, or tell people they have to. Biden says we have to pay for this. Kamala Harris prosecutes people who expose this. She was, leading the charge against David Daleiden there in California when he was exposing this stuff going on in Planned Parenthood. I don't understand. These people are sick. Anybody that looks at this, okay, if they even dare to look at it, right? Do you think, when's the last time you think Sister Simone there, who abortion is above her pay grade, for God's sake, when do you think is the last time that she saw this? This is from a medical diagram. This isn't from the Bible. This isn't from the Code of Canon Law. This isn't from the Catechism. Maybe it's time for them to read fewer theological books, Father Martin. Maybe it's time for you to take a little break from your theology lessons. What's a sin? What's not a sin? You're going to look at this and you're going to start questioning? No, it's not a sin to vote for these people. What the heck is wrong with these people? Look at this. This is abortion. You see, the problem, friends, is that the word has lost all its meaning for people. The word itself, the word abortion, has lost its meaning for a whole lot of people. And so they can engage in these big abstract arguments. Oh, this could be okay because this, and all lives are equally sacred. Is that really the response you're going to give when you see a baby being torn apart? Oh, but the person sitting in the food kitchen is equally sacred. Is that really their response to this? Oh, the person in the hospital bed is equally sacred. The person on death row is equally sacred. The immigrant coming across the border is equally sacred. The sickness here is that they can't address this. That's the sickness. These people are sick. They can't address this. They can't deal with it. Their mind no sooner sees a glimpse of what abortion is, then they got to talk about every life being equally sacred. Sorry, I don't need you to tell me every life is equally sacred. I need you to tell me what on earth is wrong with your conscience that you can't take an absolute stance against this. And that you actually, when faced with the choice between public servants who are going to allow and ask us to pay, force us to pay for the killing of these babies, and one who, like President Trump, says, every child is made in the holy image of God. You really going to tell me you got to stop and scratch your head and figure out which party you're going to support? Absolutely. You got to stop and scratch your head about that, right? Something wrong with these people, brothers and sisters. There's something wrong with them. Some of you were asking about, what can we do about all this? And we have to just do exactly what we're doing now. Have people watch programs like this, show them the diagrams like this. There's a website that we've set up called Look at Abortion. You'll be able to do a lot about this if you can show to people or lead people, or challenge people to go to the site lookatabortion.org and say, hey, this is what it is. Before you start telling me about, well, maybe it's okay to vote for a pro-abortion politician, or maybe abortion's not that bad, or all lives are equally sacred, just challenge them. Before you open your mouth, go here and open your eyes and look at abortion.org. And then we come back and talk. You'll be amazed how many people have never seen these diagrams. You'll see at that website these diagrams and also the actual pictures and actual video of these babies being killed. The truth. Let them open their eyes a little bit and then come back and open their mouths. Wow. It's just, you got to shake your head and wonder, how on earth can people, like Karen is saying, how can they have gone so astray? This is basic. This is not rocket science or anything close to it. And it's not, Father Martin, some kind of theological lesson. We're not here in theology class. We're on the battlefield here in America trying to stop a Holocaust. We don't need, ridiculous, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous that we have to launch into these theological abstractions when we're faced with a very basic question. Are we going to protect these babies or not? You don't kill babies. You want the theology of all this? You want the reasoning? You want the basis of it? You don't kill babies, okay? You don't do it. You don't allow it. You just don't. If a politician can't respect the life of a little baby, here's my question. How's he supposed to respect yours? I have degrees in theology too. I can read you the New Testament in Greek and all the rest. But why do we need to even go there? You don't kill babies. If a politician can't recognize that, if a politician can't respect the life of a little baby, how's he supposed to respect yours? That's the question that we need to be asking and answering. So, Jan, do you think the Dems, you're asking, might fake their stance on abortion to try and win? They seem to blow with the wind. Well, they're in a dilemma with that. They'll try. Here's what they do. Because you're onto something very true here. They face a big dilemma, Biden, Harris, and all these people. And this is one of the reasons that Biden, he puts out videos of, I visited with the Pope, and, he quotes John Paul II, and all this garbage that he's doing. What they try to do about their stance on abortion is have it both ways. They can't fake it too much because the Planned Parenthood people who pour tens of millions of dollars into Democrat political campaigns are watching them very closely. NARAL, Pro-Choice America, and these big pro-abortion groups, Emily's List, the Political Action Committee for pro-abortion candidates, these people on the pro-abortion side are watching them very carefully. And if they seem to waffle or they seem to back away from their full-throated support for unrestricted abortion, those people will pounce on them faster than lightning strikes. And so they can't come out and pretend to be against abortion. But they'll pretend that it's not anywhere near as bad as this, because what they'll do is they'll never show you this. This is a medical diagram, by the way, made by Nucleus Medical Media. It's a company that does medical illustrations for textbooks and court proceedings. It's a very good company, and that's where this diagram came. We didn't make this diagram. All right, so what they will do is this. What the Democrats will do, as you say, they try to fake their stance. The way they fake their stance is that they never describe what they defend. And actually, this is true of abortion defenders everywhere, not just in the political arena, but in academia, and then for that matter in the church. Ask this again, Sister Simone over there, who yesterday she was involved in the launch of the Catholics for Biden. Yeah, this religious sister, Simone. Abortion's above her pay grade. Ask her to describe it. To describe it. Ask Biden, ask Harris. Whoever's running to represent you in the House of Representatives, who is that? Who's the Democrat candidate? Have you been in touch with their office? Ask them to describe an abortion. We know they defend it. They want to increase taxpayer funding for it. I mean, they can have all those legal arguments, and they can start spewing out their rhetoric about woman's choice and reproductive health. They call it reproductive justice now. And they can be talking to you about all these things. But you know what? Our challenge to them is very simple. Before you start talking to me about why there should be a taxpayer funding of abortion, before you start talking to me about the legal arguments for all of this, could you just describe for me what an abortion is? I mean, take care of first things first. What is an abortion? I want to tell you this right now. They will never describe what they defend. We describe what we oppose. But they will never describe what they defend. Why is that? If you believe in it, why can't you even name it? And that shows who's right, right there. That shows who's right. They will not describe what they defend. And that's how they get away with this. They appeal to both sides. And while they fail to describe it, they're saying, I was with the Pope. Yeah, right. A lot that helps. Like Cheryl is saying, I wish the moderator of the debates would ask this question. Right? Wouldn't this be a great debate question? Mr. Biden, I could just hear it now. This would be a dream come true. Mr. Biden, you have expressed your support for taxpayer-funded abortions, and you want to codify reproductive rights and make sure that there are no limitations on a woman's right to choose abortion. This is the hypothetical debate moderator question, right? Sir, could you describe what an abortion is? Because after all, if you defend it, you should be willing to describe it. And you know what would happen? Biden would come up with some kind of, whatever words come out of his mouth, they would not be the words that describe abortion. Because the words that describe abortion are words like decapitation, dismemberment, arms, legs, forceps, skull, crush, tear, pull. Those are the words that describe abortion. Suction, beating heart. And I tell you what, President Trump would jump right on that, and he would say, well, I'll tell you what this is. They're ripping the baby from the womb, even at the last stages of pregnancy, tearing the arms and legs off. President Trump knows what an abortion is, and he's not afraid to say it. Not afraid to say it. One of our friends here is commenting, start seeing the hypocrisy in the politicians you support. I used to be a Democrat. Well, thank you so much for saying that. You know, you're in good company. There are many, many people who are making that change. And you're in very good company. And they're making that change because they realize, you know, the Democrat Party of today and its platform is not that which, you know, our grandparents may have faced or supported. It's not. It has radically departed from a lot of fundamental moral principles that our church and our nation believe in. And we've got to educate people. Let me conclude with this, votinginfo.net. We just put up our new party comparison piece. It's a one sheet of paper, one side English with the other side Spanish, and it is a comparison of the positions that the Republican and Democrat Party express in their platform. And so if you go to votinginfo.net, you'll be able to download it. You'll be able to order copies for us. We just sent it to the printer, and it is there for you to use to help enlighten people who are both Republican and Democrat as to what their parties stand for. Votinginfo.net. Susan is suggesting let's send that question to Fox News. One of their correspondents is at the panel. I'm actually going to do exactly that. I'm going to do precisely that. I know a lot of the people over there, and they know me. And I have done that in the past, and there have been certain questions asked in the past, and we'll get that question to them. Describe what you defend. And use that question in your own personal discussions with people about abortion, my friends. Those who are disagreeing with you about it. Say, hey, listen, describe an abortion for me, or have you ever seen an abortion? You know, that's another favorite question that I have when I ask people just in conversation. Have you ever seen one? Again, the website, lookatabortion.org. Okay. So, Catherine is saying something interesting. You know, would Biden ever be able to even make it through a 90-minute debate with President Trump? You know, the guy is, you know, Biden is, I don't know, he's very low energy, and I don't know what's going on with him. So, friends, always good talking with you. Thank you very much for your participation. Spread these programs. Tune in with us. Now, tomorrow night, my schedule is a little bit different because tomorrow I'm traveling across the state of Florida to a big evangelical church where I'm going to be speaking tomorrow night and preaching on Sunday morning. So tomorrow night, our evening program is going to be my talk over at this church. It's called Destiny Church over in Naples, Florida. And so it's going to be around 6 p.m. Eastern time that it gets underway. And we're going to be talking about the elections, and you can tune in right on these channels. But that's why tomorrow because I'm at that event, I won't have my usual 9 o'clock slot. It'll be a little bit earlier, but you'll be able to see it live as I deliver my message to the people over there. And then the same is true on Sunday morning. Tomorrow morning we'll have the Mass, as usual, at 10 a.m. Eastern. But then I'll go over to the other side of the state, and then Sunday morning I'll be, instead of the Mass at 10, I'll be preaching at this other church, and we'll carry that live. It'll be one service is at 9 and one is at 11. And then what I'm going to do on Sunday, day after tomorrow, is have the Mass that I do in our evening time slot. Okay, so Sunday night at 9 o'clock p.m., we will actually have a Mass instead of our usual 10 a.m. slot. So please keep in mind that little schedule change for the next 2 days, but I will see you at the Mass 10 o'clock tomorrow morning Eastern time and remind you again of these changes. So may the Lord bless you. May He fill you with His Spirit, keep you safe, answer all your intentions, and make you strong defenders of the unborn. And may Almighty God bless you, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Father Frank Pavone here of Priests for Life. Have a great night.